Hi everyone, welcome to another history walk with me, Dr. Charlie Rozier and Daisy the Beagle. Today we are at Finchale Priory, which is a small medieval abbey in ruins, as you can see behind me, about 4 miles north of Durham city centre, founded in the 13th century. You can reach Finchale from a couple of directions as explained on the English Heritage website, but our favourite way is via the A690 and walking over this beautiful bridge on arrival. From the A690 you need to be able to walk down these steps, but if you can manage it you can also have a really nice walk along the river, spotting all kinds of wildlife. My favourite bird, the dipper, is resident in the area. Finchale Priory was founded by Godric, who later became known as Godric of Finchale. So Godric's active at the start of the 12th century. He's a sailor, some kind of merchant, and then eventually travels to Lindisfarne, where St Cuthbert had been a saint and had been buried in the early Middle Ages. Godric has a vision of Cuthbert and then decides to become a hermit. Basically locks himself away from the world, doesn't want to see anybody, contemplates God, devoting himself to Christianity. Godric persuades the Bishop of Durham, who's called Ranulph Flambard, to let him have some land by the River Wear. Daisy is pushing in and saying, please give me some land by the River Wear. And he eventually settles here at this site, which is now Finchale. Over a life of a hermit for about 50 years, Godric builds up his reputation at Finchale and dies in around 1170. He's first buried at Durham Cathedral, but then the monks of Durham bring his body back to Finchale, and I think what they're trying to do is establish a saint's cult here on this site. It's used as a monastic site for the remainder of the Middle Ages, and most of the buildings that you can see around the site now date to the 13th and the 14th century, before the dissolution of the site in the 16th century, under that classic narrative of the dissolution by Henry VIII. Okay, so this green open space in the middle of the monastery is typically called a cloister, and this is where all of the other buildings come off, and it acts as a kind of central point with some outside space for the people who live there. Typically on the north side of a cloister you'd have the monastic church, which you can see behind these walls here, and I'll show you a video of that in a minute. And then on the east side you would have your chapter house, which you can see behind these windows here. It's called the chapter house because it's where the monks have their daily meeting, and in that meeting they read chapters from the Rule of St Benedict, and you can see just behind this wall here where people would have sat around the edges of that building. On the south side you normally have a refectory, which is the room that you can see on the top of this bit, and then underneath it an undercroft where things are stored like food and drink and so on. And then usually the dormitory is on this side. From this corner of the cloister you get a great view down the monastic church towards the River Wear. We hope you enjoyed watching our History Walks video from Finchale Priory in County Durham. More information on visiting Finchale Abbey can be found in the links on our YouTube page. If you enjoyed watching, then please leave us a comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media and look out for updates for when we come back soon with another History Walk with me, Dr. Charlie Rozier, and Daisy the Beagle.